Choco.
Appreciation to the gentlemen of the press. This program is extremely appreciated, and we'll make the best of it. I have the pleasure to present to the gentlemen of the press here programs, reforms, and initiatives of the Ministry of Interior in the last 2 years, with emphasis on internal security and public safety. If you listen to me very well, I feel I should not bore you with the usual courtesies, and I hope you accept that. I adopt whatever courtesy the compere had laid out. My presentation will also touch on correctional services, immigration, protection of our borders, as well as citizenship and business services rendered to the public, as well as the ancillary services provided by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. The Ministry of Interior has evolved over the years when it was first created as Ministry of Internal Affairs in 1957 by the colonial authorities. What we have today emerged in 2015 when President Muhammadu Buhari merged the Ministry of Internal Affairs with the Ministry of Police Affairs, although the latter was eventually excised from it in 2019. The Ministry of Interior, which I just now refer to as the ministry, has the mandate for formulating and implementing policies, programs that enhance internal security, public safety, create an enabling environment for foreign investors, as well as the promotion and maintenance of the integrity of the Nigerian citizenship, all of which are key pillars in the priority areas of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. The ministry has the mandate for the registration of places of worship for the purpose of conduct of statutory marriages, issuance of expatriate quota, and permit for foreign businesses to operate in Nigeria, and processing applications for Nigerian citizenship for the consideration of Mr. President. The ministry oversees 4 paramilitary agencies and a board. These are the Nigerian Correctional Service, NCOS, Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, the Federal Fire Service, FFS, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board, CDCFIB, responsible for recruitment, promotion, and discipline of officers and men of the 4 paramilitary agencies under the ministry. As you may be aware, the focus of this administration is built around 3 strategy areas of security, economy, and anti-corruption. That is the way it is captioned by you, but when I took over the administration of this ministry, I captioned it security, economy, and transparency, which I say set. From these 3 broad objectives, federal government has selected 9 main priority areas for its own intervention. They are: 1, to stabilize the macroeconomy; increase agricultural productivity and food security, ensure energy sufficiency, improve transportation and other infrastructure, drive industrialization, improve health, education, and productivity of Nigerians, enhance social inclusion by scaling up social investments, fight corruption, and improve governance, and provide security for all citizens. From the 9 broad priorities, the primary key performance indicator assigned to the Ministry of Interior by Mr. President is the provision of security for all citizens. I will now proceed to the programs, policies, and initiatives of the ministry towards achieving the mandate of the President. And I'm starting with the Nigerian Immigration Service. The ministry is aware of the challenges faced by applicants for processing and reissue of passports. I want to use this unique opportunity to assure Nigerians that the current experience will soon be a thing of the past. I'm pleased to inform Nigerians that the ministry has taken substantial measures to address the issue of shortage of electronic passport booklets. This year alone, the ministry has approved a special deployment of over 600,000 passport booklets, the largest ever done, to cushion the effects of shortages being experienced, to limit human interference with the passport application process, gradually eliminate corruption, and improve efficiency. We are reforming the entire passport application, production, and issuance process. In the coming days, a new and digital appointment management system will be launched to optimize the passport application experience for Nigerians, limit physical visit and personal contacts in, to, and in passport offices, and eliminate inconveniences that Nigerians suffer in booking appointments for biometric data capture. We are also decentralizing and strengthening passport production centers across the country by working with our service provider to increase capacity. I'm pleased to inform you that in 90 days, the Nigerian Immigration Service will be opening additional biometric capture centers across the country, which is expected to ease the pressure at high-traffic passport offices like Ikoyi, Abuja, Alausa, Amuwodofe, Ibadan, and Kano, among others. We are working assiduously to reform the passport application and issuance process. This reform is going to be a continuous process until we get to a situation where Nigerians can seamlessly, transparently, and effortlessly apply for passport and get one. And we are able to significantly enhance the integrity of the travel document, which is the most authentic means of identification as a citizen of any country. Gentlemen of the press, please recall that a core mandate of the Ministry of Interior alluded to earlier in the presentation is the promotion and maintenance of citizenship integrity. So this is quite combined and in order. You may wish to note that the passport is the only means of citizenship identification where the President expressly committed to the international community that the holder is a citizen and should be accorded all the respect due to the country. It is therefore our unwavering commitment to ensure a world-class customer service to all passport applicants. It is important that I led the gentlemen of the press into some of the objectives of this reform, which we have embarked on and committed to. They include the following. 1, to enhance the integrity of the Nigerian passport by ensuring that non-Nigerians are not able to obtain the Nigerian passport. The enhancement of the integrity of the passport comes with a number of benefits, for holders crossing international borders. Our reform will ensure that it becomes easier for an elephant to pass through the eye of the needle than for a non-Nigerian or any unauthorized person to hold a Nigerian passport. 2, one of the measures we have put in place is to link the passport to the national identity number, NIN. We have added additional layer of requests for the permanent home addresses of applicants, which shall be verified physically before we issue the passport. This is to authenticate their ethnic origin and prevent non-Nigerians from obtaining our passport. To achieve these objectives, we are investing heavily in human and material resources towards effective screening and verification of breeder documents presented to support passport applications and proof of citizenship. It is important that I let Nigerians know that this is a critical part in the application process and will require time. I urge all Nigerians to support us to regain the integrity of our passport. Nigerian passport booklet is one of the most secured in the world, with security features that make it tamper-proof. As a ministry, we are committed to enhancing the application process to a similar status in our effort to promote and maintain citizenship integrity. 3, to eliminate touting and every form of corruption from the system, which has made passport application expensive and difficult for many Nigerians. The touting business around our passport offices has become a big industry that is frustrating our desire for a seamless application. This we must stop, and we are going to stop. To ensure a system of total quality through easy processing of applications and collection of passports by applicants, the reform will back a world-class customer service for passport applicants. To bring passport services closer to the people as much as practicable. May I also inform this august gathering that we have commenced the process of establishing a local facility for the production of electronic passport booklets in Nigeria. It's also important to inform you that we have witnessed growing demand for the Nigerian passport, both locally and by Nigerians in the diaspora. A total of 2,782,216 passports were produced between 2019 to date. Out of these 2,422,000, out of this, please let me take that again. Out of this, 2,742,207 passports were issued with 40,009 remaining uncollected. I hope you follow that bit. That yes, there are complaints, but even those we produce are not fully collected. In 2017, 1,018,365 passports were produced, out of which 1,010,437 were issued. In 2018, 1,062,321 passports were produced, out of which 1,064,127 were issued. We understand that this growth reflects the demographic distribution of the country's population, which is heavily skewed in favor of the youth, and is the demography that globally dominates migration. The year-on-year increased growth is, however, putting a lot of pressure on the current processing structure and resources, and further justifies the need for a reform in the passport application and processing system in line with the current reality. And that I've spoken about. This year alone, up till the 9th of November, some 72 hours ago, we have issued 798,390 passports. In addition, between May and June, the ministry approved a special deployment of 200,000 passport booklets worldwide, globally, to clear backlog occasioned by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the passport processes. It is also noteworthy that there is a total of 56,135 uncollected passports this year alone, out of the ones we produced in this year, at the period between May and July. Well, let's say May and now. It is to limit human interference and corruption. We are streamlining the whole passport application and production process to increase efficiency. In the coming days, a new digital appointment management system will be launched to optimize the passport application experience for Nigerians, limit physical visits to passport office, and eliminate person-to-person contact in passport application and issuance process, and check the inconveniences Nigerians suffer in booking appointments for biometric data capture. We are also digitalizing and strengthening passport production centers across the country, working with our service provider to increase capacity. I'm pleased to inform you that before the year runs out, the Immigration Service will be opening additional front offices across the country, specifically to ease the pressure at high traffic passport offices. The ministry is also not unaware or mindful of the activities of some unscrupulous elements within our immigration service. We are committed to identifying all such officers and make them to face the full consequence of their action. We are appealing to Nigerians to help us identify them. To underscore our resolve, we recently launched the Nigeria Immigration Service Code of Conduct and Ethics document to regulate the conduct of Nigeria Immigration Service personnel in ensuring that services are rendered most seamlessly, transparently, and courteously while checking the SSCs of the staff. The objectives of this initiative include to assist immigration officers and men to understand the standard and appropriate conduct expected of them in the execution of their duties, to build a strong integrity culture among immigration officers so as to restore and enhance public confidence in them and the services they render, to facilitate effective and quality service delivery while instilling zero tolerance for corruption, and 4, to promote continuous evaluation and improvement in service delivery. To underscore our commitment at enforcing this code of conduct, we have instituted a whistleblowing and mystery shopping policy to identify bad eggs in the system who are willfully frustrating the effort to provide seamless services and operation to Nigerians. We wish to recall the recent sting operation carried out by the Acting Controller General of Immigration. This is in line with the initiative we have adopted to clean up the system of bad eggs. Again, I must solicit the support and cooperation of the Nigerians, public and people towards this. We shall soon make public dedicated phone numbers and lines and social media accounts and platforms to report officers who are engaged in corrupt practices. We recently completed and commissioned the Nigeria Immigration Service Technology Building, fully equipped with state-of-the-art devices and linked to global database designed to curb international crime. The implication of this on security, particularly protection of our borders, is that Nigeria now has a well-equipped immigration technology building to serve as data recovery center housing all migration information both locally and internationally. The objectives for this very important center are: 1, to remotely monitor all activities around our borders, air, land, and sea, in real time from the national headquarters. to link Nigeria up with the global community in an effort to reduce international crime. In the period under review, we launched the ICAO compliant Nigerian temporary passport. Prior to its launch, there was emergency travel certificate, which was a paper that can be easily forged, and it contains no security features and could be used by anybody to enter Nigeria. There is now a new temporary electronic passport that is available for a one-way traveling for Nigerians in diaspora who might have lost their passports and are therefore unable to renew. The temporary electronic passport has 3 months validity with enforced security features that links the biodata of the traveler to the e-passport. The objective of this policy is to make traveling to Nigeria easy to Nigerians in diaspora who have expired passport or lost passport and need to travel to their motherland at very short notice. Those of you in Nigeria might not appreciate the importance of this, but those who are outside who know that they cannot even approach any airport without a valid travel document will appreciate this. It has also reduced the possibility of non-Nigerians using the emergency travel certificate to enter Nigeria. We have fully implemented biometric visa at all entry points into the country. Hitherto, there was paper stamped visa with no security and personalization features. The new electronic-based biometric visa is integrated with the Migration Data Analysis System, MIDAS, and has enhanced security features. The security objective of this include the following. 1, to have full security control of migrants into Nigeria at all entry points. To identify and deter persons of interest or persons who are on Interpol wanted persons list right at the port of the immigration officers in the various entry points. This has further enhanced the security of the country as it relates to Interpol profiled international criminals. And this has endeared and engendered international respect. To complement the implementation of biometric visa, we have deployed migration data analysis system at all entry points in the country for proper notification of travelers. MIDAS is also integrated to Interpol I-247. The objective is to ensure full security profiling, control, and proper identification of travelers. During the period we are looking at, the Nigeria Immigration Service unveiled the Nigeria Visa Policy MVP 2020 in compliance with the Presidential Executive Order 1 on ease of doing business and to adopt best practices in visa administration. Notable features of the MVP 2020 include the expansion of visa categories from just 6 to 79, coding and simplification of application process to ensure that visas are easy to specifically match the purpose of travel to Nigeria. If you're a journalist, this interests you. We'll just give you a blank visa. We'll give you a visa describing you, providing you as a journalist. Should you now deviate from why you are here, it will be easy for us to identify and pick you up. Notable features of the MVP 2020 include the expansion of visa categories from 6 to 79, coding and simplification of application process to ensure that visas are issued to specifically match the purpose of travel to Nigeria. This latter feature will significantly aid the operational activities of immigration officers and other security agencies. You can't escape. We have achieved the full automation of our visa on arrival process and working towards maintaining a premium world-class website for NIS. We have implemented the Advanced Passenger Information System, APIS, which has been fully deployed at all entry points. The implication of this is that Nigeria now has the capacity to have full details of all incoming travelers into the country, even before their arrival. We are still going to expand, but once you board, we have everything about you. It enables our security agency to carry out detailed profiling of all incoming passengers and necessary security checks before their arrival into the country. Of course, this will be expanded, and I won't explain that further. To the point of even as we are thinking of coming to Nigeria, we already know we are thinking of coming to Nigeria. And don't think it's a joke. That is the work of technology. But we are still at the point of boarding. Once we board, we're already known to us. There is increased border surveillance and patrol by the NIS to prevent undesirable persons from entering Nigeria. Presently, all international airports are connected to Interpol I-247 through the MIDAS system. We have established 14 fully equipped forward border patrol operation bases, with plans to increase the number in the next financial year. Nigeria Immigration Service has equally commenced the full implementation of National Border Management Strategy, NBMS 2019-2023. We are committed to launching the e-border project to further enhance the effective surveillance of our 4,477 kilometer land borders, land boundary, and 353 kilometers blue border line, that is shoreline boundary, through technology. We are there physically now. Therefore, effective surveillance and coverage, technology is the way out. We have recently inaugurated the electronic data management system at the Nigeria Immigration Service. Prior to its inauguration, document management and administrative systems were paper-based and very cumbersome. The deployment of EDMS at all administrative levels of the agency has reduced the level of paper-based processes and processing time. This is expected to complement all the initiatives we are taking on quality customer service. As of today, over 153,000 lost and stolen Nigerian passports have been uploaded after successfully connecting the passport database with that of the National Central Bureau, NCB, of Interpol at the Interpol Police Database domiciled in the Nigerian Police Force. This has significant implications on national security. It was pointed out that Nigeria is the only country in Africa with this capacity for real-time uploading of lost and stolen passports. I think I've exhausted the activities, operation and service of the Nigerian Immigration Service. So I'm moving to correctional service now. The Nigerian Correctional Service. There are various ongoing reformation and education programs for inmates in our custodial facilities. This service, that is the Nigerian Correctional Service, in partnership with the Nigeria Open University, the National Open University of Nigeria now, has increased the number of study centers to 10 across correctional formations. Abeokuta, Anambra, Enugu, Kaduna, Kefi, Kuje, Lafia, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Umuahia. There are currently about 465 inmates running various degree programs. 85 of the inmates are running postgraduate programs. 4 are running PhD programs within the custodial facilities. 5 city inmates have been enrolled for WAEC NECO examinations, and 2,300 for adult literacy classes in several custodial centers. Additional Buster training institutions for young offenders, male and female, are to be established in each state of the Federation. We have integrated the construction of life centers into the 3,000 capacity custodial facilities in each of the geopolitical zones. The focus of these centers will be on behavior modification of inmates to reduce the rate of recidivism and facilitate the reintegration of inmates upon release from custody, in line with the new name of the service, Nigerian Correctional Service. In the period under review, we commenced the construction of 3,000 modern capacity custodial center or facility in each of the 6 geopolitical zones. Construction is almost at completion stages in Janguza, Kano, and the percentage of completion is 65%. And it will be completed by April, inshallah, 2022. Karishi in the FCT, 65% completion, and Buri in Rivers State, 40% completion. This will decongest the custodial centers, ensure good living conditions for inmates, and support the implementation of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act 2019 with the goal of rehabilitating, reformation, and reintegration of inmates. You wonder that I mentioned 3 out of 6. We work on budget. At least two will be started in the coming financial year, 2022. Yes, inshallah. In the period under review, also, we commence the implementation of the Nigerian Correctional Service Act 2019 with the goal of rehabilitating, reformation, and reintegration of inmates. The Nigeria Prison Service that was abolished was a lock and key system for prisoners. The objective of the amended act is to focus on reformation of inmates and to empower them with skills and vocation that will make them economically viable upon release. The overall purpose is to reduce and monitor the rate of recidivism in our custodial facilities. This is being integrated into the Correctional Information Management System. This will help to conduct risk and need assessment for offenders in our custody and help to develop correctional treatment methods suitable for their rehabilitation, reintegration, and information based on historical records. And this information management system too will expose to us who their friends are. Let me cleverly put it that. The ministry has initiated the process of expanding vocational programs in custodial facilities to become well-equipped enterprise centers in line with the new focus of rehabilitation and reformation of inmates. We have commenced a public-private partnership for the establishment of 5 billion naira shoe and garment factories in Kano and Abia states respectively. There are other initiatives as work in progress to expose inmates to training in auto repairs, electronics, bakery, through PPP arrangements, etc. The objective is to provide skill acquisition and economic empowerment of inmates upon their release. In line with the amended Act, the Non-Custodial Measures Service Directorate has taken effect. Office accommodation has been provided at the national headquarters of the Nigerian Correctional Service and in all 36 states of the Federation, including FCT. Staff training and capacity building on non-custodial measures are ongoing. The National Committee on Non-Custodial Measures will be appointed by the President upon confirmation by the National Assembly very, very soon. We have reactivated many of the custodial farm centers for large-scale agricultural production. Prior to this reactivation, the huge expanse of farmland owned by the Nigerian Correctional Service were not optimally utilized. The Kujama farm in Kaduna is currently being cultivated for maize. Lakushi farm in Plateau is being cultivated for rice, while the Ozala farm in Edo is being cultivated for palm oil. New farm structures have been built for livestock production, piggery and fishery to reposition the farms and enhance the training of inmates in plant and animal husbandry. The objective is to position the Nigerian Correctional Service farmlands to support agricultural production in the country, while the immediate objective is to produce a significant portion of the food that will be used to feed the inmates. In the area of health, Nigeria Correctional Service renovated and upgraded medical centers, procured ambulances, and substantial quantity of drugs in the custodial center for the health care of inmates. It is worthy of note, and this to me is very, very significant, that the Nigeria Correctional Service has not recorded any case of COVID-19 infection in any of the custodial facilities that we have. I feel that you are going to applaud us for this. It's a world-class feat that calls for national and international recognition. Very few nations can make this claim. We are proud to tell Nigerians and the world that since the advent of the fearful or fearsome COVID-19 pandemic, not one person in our care, either as convicts or as awaiting trial inmates, has been infected in any of our custodial facilities. The military has faced a number of challenges in recent times in the area of safe custody of persons that are either awaiting trial or have been convicted by the state. Our custodial facilities have been targets of attacks by enemies of the state. Let me use the opportunity to assure Nigerians that the ministry is doing everything possible to address the situation in conjunction with relevant security agencies. And we are going to prevent any further attack, which will lead to forced release of inmates in our care. I would like to inform Nigerians that we have captured the biometric information of all inmates in the facility of the Nigerian Correctional Service, working in partnership with NIMSI, the Nigerian Identity Management Commission. Therefore, we have the capacity and are tracking all escapees from our facilities. In addition, we are working with and have shared the details of escapees with Interpol to share the risk of cross-border movement. There are ongoing efforts by the Nigerian Correctional Service to rearrest inmates that have escaped from our custodial facilities in recent times. However, in order to make this initiative more comprehensive, broad, and global, we shall soon inaugurate a ministerial task force specifically for the rearrest of the escapees. The composition of the task force calls across various ministries and agencies and includes civil society organizations, police, community relations organizations, and other stakeholders that can help to track and rearrest the escapees and their collaborators. The task force is expected to set in motion deliberate strategies to ensure that every fleeing inmate is rearrested and their collaborators too are prosecuted. I want to assure you that the escapees will soon have no hiding place. I mean that they can run, but they cannot hide, because we have everything about them. We have commenced vulnerability assessment of all custodial facilities across the country. This has become imperative from the recent attacks on some of our custodial facilities across the country. The objective for this includes: 1, to verify the security situation of all custodial facilities, to identify areas that require urgent upgrade of security arrangements, to identify different approaches required in securing each custodial facility based on their peculiarities. To this end, I have directed that all custodial centers should be designated as critical national assets, and the armed squad of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense should be drafted to complement the operations of their security agencies in line with their mandate. This does not in any way remove the already in place arrangement with other security agencies, just to further reinforce it. The ministry is working on the process of mandatory DNA capturing of all inmates in the custody of the Nigerian Correctional Service, either as awaiting trial persons or convicts. The objective is to develop a database of the digital footprint of all inmates in our custodial facilities. This will significantly aid forensic investigation of crime when completed. This initiative is expected to lead to a reduction in crime and facilitate speedy investigation. It will also make it easy to track and rearrest inmates who may illegally escape from custody. I'm pleased to inform Nigerians that we have captured the biometric information of all inmates in the facilities of the Nigerian Correctional Service. There is no single inmate with us that is not captured on our database and on NIMSI database. Please permit me to highlight that the ratio of male inmates to female inmates in the custodial center is 98:2. Women, I deliberately put this to let the world know that our women in Nigeria are fantastic, law-abiding citizens. Women in Nigeria are fantastic, law-abiding citizens. And I want to call on our brothers to emulate the women. 98:2. The total number of convicted female inmates is 256. While 58 female inmates are on death row. 58. There are 1,019 female inmates awaiting trial. The total number of inmates in the Nigerian custodial facilities is 69,680, out of which 50,223 are awaiting trial persons, and 19,457 are convicted inmates. So just look at this figure I've given you. And women are almost insignificant. I give kudos to Nigerian women for their comportment, attitude, and lawful standing in the country. Now I move to Federal Fire Service. The Federal Fire Service. If I were to be on the campaign ground, I have a song for you, but I will not sing it here because. Gentlemen, you are a tough people. Don't even provide me with water, a glass of water. You don't even care for me to take to have water. Water. I see. I just want to. It's just to tease you, The federal. It won't stay, don't worry. I'll put it there. We need to have such a comical relief. We need to have that comical relief to reduce stress and pressure. So, women, oh no, I'm proud of them. Very proud of them. Very, very proud of them. Gentlemen of the press, I must not fail to bring to your attention that prior to the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, the Federal Fire Service had only 3 unserviceable vehicles. Listen very well. Prior to 2015, the Federal Fire Service had only 3 unserviceable vehicles. 2 in Abuja and 1 in Lagos. Where we had Federal Fire Service. Those are the only locations that there was Federal Fire Service. Lagos and Abuja. In Abuja, we had 2 unserviceable vehicles. In Lagos, 1. The administration has recorded unprecedented investment in firefighting in the history of Nigeria, which has resulted in significant improvement in the response time and efficiency of the Federal Fire Service to emergencies. I'm indeed extremely pleased to inform Nigerians that we have been able to reduce the value of assets destroyed by fire and other disasters. In the period under review, the Federal Fire Service responded to 698 fire outbreaks in 2019 and 3,555 in 2020 across the country. In 2019, the agency saved 99 lives and 1,100 in 2020. In 2019, assets valued at 1.82 trillion naira were saved from Inferno, while in 2020, assets valued at 1.35 trillion naira were saved across the country. This achievement made possible by the expansion of the offices and operation of the Federal Fire Service from 14 states and FCT before the period under review to all the 36 states of the Federation. The Federal Fire Service deployed 106 brand new state-of-the-art fire trucks to the 36 states, accompanied with well-trained personnel as fire cover to combat fire outbreaks. This has enhanced the firefighting capability of the FFS, and this standard is available in all states of the Federation. The effective coverage of the service across 36 states is expected to encourage the subnational fire service agencies to also invest heavily in firefighting and support their operation. It's not to displace or replace the capacity of the subnational administrations or governments from investing in their own local fire management services, but to enhance and complement them. We have also procured and deployed the first ever modern hydraulic firefighting truck to Lagos to be able to respond to fire incidents in high-rise buildings. We have an objective to enhance the Federal Fire Service capacity to respond to fire disaster in high-rise buildings across the country. We have established the National Fire Data Repository Center in the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, which is the first in the history of fire service in Nigeria. The National Fire Data Repository Centers, the National Fire Data Repository Center has the following functions: emergency response and coordination by receiving emergency alerts, coordinate response, coordinate premise inspection, and conduct fire investigation. Enterprise services which provide control of fake fire extinguishers and fire alarm panels gateway remittances to ensure quality control on fire safety products. The ministry has commenced the construction of 12 metropolitan fire stations across the 12 zonal commands that were created to bring the Federal Fire Service, fire and rescue services closer to the people. When completed, these fire centers will house every necessary modern firefighting equipment and plants that can fight all kinds of fire and in all kinds of buildings and spaces towards improving the efficiency of the service and bringing that efficiency closer to the people. In addition, for the first time in the history of this country, the Federal Fire Service has procured and deployed ambulances to all zonal commands. To date, we have deployed 20 basic life support ambulances and employed paramedics to provide first care to fire victims and any victim of disaster and transport them to hospitals for treatment. This is an effort to reduce death rate for fire incidents and disaster sites. The ministry has commenced the process of public-private partnership for the deployment of automatic fire alarm system nationwide. The existing system is premised on call and response where victims reach out to fire service. The automatic fire alarm system will be directly linked from homes and businesses to the Federal Fire Service Command and Control Center and ensure that fire alerts are received in real time through electronic gadgets by the agency and property owners before any major damage is done through the part of the body. This will significantly improve response time to fire disaster in the country and reduce financial and economic loss to fire disasters. To further improve response time for fire incidents and disasters, fire emergencies, Federal Fire Service has created the Fire Volunteer Force in every local government area, as well as the Special Fire Marshal. We continue to develop the capacity of our firemen to international standards to effectively handle fire emergencies. We have also intensified our fire risk assessments of buildings across the country. We have averted numerous fire disasters involving multiple vehicles occasioned by fuel tanker accidents across the country. We have also developed the capacity of personnel to respond to building collapse, flood, and disaster management. Gentlemen of the press, I'm pleased to reiterate that this administration's achievements in firefighting equipment is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria and has enabled the Federal Fire Service to confront several fire emergencies that would have resulted in huge human, financial, and economic losses across the country. My hope is that in the not too distant future, Federal Fire Service will have capacity to fight fire aerially. Before we acquire our own aircraft, we have initiated a process to synergize with Nigerian Air Force, so that Nigerian Air Force, working with our fire officers, can readily deploy to huge fire sites to really attack such fire. Then we are working on acquisition of our own area firefighting crafts. And though not here, let me tell you that we have one of the best motivated fire service personnel in the world. I don't know. The fire officer, come here, come and sit there. You have no seat. Let him sit here. We are one of the, our fire officers in outlook, in disposition. That man must be here. Please get a place for him. This man must be here. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Let them see. Find a place to sit. Find a place to sit. We have. No. Let him. This is the head of. I will keep quiet. Let him sit. Okay, come here and face them. Just face them. We have in Nigeria one of the best kitted, motivated, and groomed firemen and officers in the world. And this is made possible by President Muhammadu Buhari, through his huge investment in the Federal Fire Service. Take your seat. That's just one. It's not the CG. It's just one of the officers of the Federal Fire Service. Their courage, their comportment, their confidence, their smartness are world class. World class. Now, the Nigerian security and civil defense. The core special forces personnel are currently deployed along with other security agencies in various joint operations such as Operation Sharandaji, Operation Polo Shield, and Operation Adinkai against activities of kidnappers and bandits. These operations are aimed at addressing the menace of armed banditry, kidnapping, and cattle rustling. They have averted many suicide bombings through proactive measures, vigilance, and community intelligence gathering. The Corps continues to collaborate with other security agencies to curb the nation's security challenges, which include insurgency, harder farmer clashes, cultism, piracy, terrorism, and economic sabotage across the Federation. Through the operation of Agro Rangers Squad, physical security is being provided to the agro-allied sector of the economy. The civil defense personnel have been deployed to protect farmers in Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, Kebbi, and many other states that have solicited for the deployment of the Agro Rangers. And we are going further to embed this unit in all farming communities, starting with some modern areas, to eliminate other farmer class in any part of Nigeria. But we will do some models by embedding the officers among such communities. Before disagreement will escalate to tension and confrontation, they will have intervened. The Corps continues to protect internally displaced forces in the northeast of Nigeria to provide protection against terrorist attacks and infiltration of the camps. They have also been deployed to schools in the northeast. A core mandate of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps is the protection of critical national assets and infrastructure. refineries, industries, rail stations, mines, and steel, power sector, telecommunication, water resources. It is worthy to mention that the high rate of vandalism of critical national assets and infrastructure, which was a regular occurrence in the past, has now been greatly reduced with the deployment of more civil defense officers to man these assets. The ministry is in the process of conducting a comprehensive census of critical national assets across the country for the purpose of manpower and resource planning for effective protection of these assets. We have established first ever female response squad to support the Safe School initiative of the federal government. This squad is being deployed across state commands of the agency to protect students from being kidnapped in schools, protect critical national assets, and respond to crime alerts. We have established a special squad called Transport Marshals to provide protection and security to the transport industry, particularly rail transportation and airports. Also, I have also directed that firefighting truck should be designated as critical national assets, and because indeed they are. The implication of this is that a rapid response squad will provide security to officers of the Federal Fire Service whenever and wherever they are responding to fire calls. So, Nigerians, want your world to stop disturbing our firemen and officers, because we have instructed the civil defense, their armed squad, to be the first responder to every fire emergency site. They cordon off the area to prevent anybody assaulting our firemen. Whoever dares to test our will will face grave consequences. We have commenced a review of the Private Guards Company Act 1986. The PGC Act 1986 has become obsolete and no longer addresses the realities of the private security industry. The objective of the proposed private security industry bill is to revamp the private security industry in Nigeria, standardize and professionalize the private security industry in line with best practices. It's also an effort to integrate the private security industry into the internal security architecture to complement the state security actors, particularly in the area of community intelligence gathering. In line with the above, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps is working with relevant stakeholders to establish standard private security training centers across the country with standard curriculum that emphasizes that not only man guarding, human guarding, but internal security, intelligence gathering, oversight on national assets, and disaster management. This initiative is expected to enhance the capacity of private security practitioners in the country, professionalize the job, create more well-paying jobs, and enhance internal security. The ministry is fully aware of the role of proliferation of illegal firearms in the current level of security across the country. The ministry has mandated the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to set up a special squad to support recovery of illegal arms across the country. Targets have been set and constitute part of the key performance indicator for the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, which shall be reviewed monthly. We expect the successful implementation of this initiative to reduce the proliferation of arms and ammunition in Nigeria and ultimately enhance internal security. Part of the mandate of the Corps is alternative dispute resolution. Officers are being trained on this and have deployed their skills to settle a number of community clashes, farmer-others clashes, as well as ethno-religious conflict across the country. We continue to gathering capability of the Corps, particularly considering the fact that the officers live among citizens. Gentlemen of the press, it is important to mention that the scope of the activities and operation of civil defense has significantly increased since the advent of this administration to effectively rise to the new challenges and position the Corps for the future. The ministry has embarked on manpower audit of the NSCDC. The audit is to assess the current human resources vis-à-vis the existing ranks job functions, training, and compatibility with the new security challenges being faced and manpower gap arising from the sharp increase in the number of critical national assets to be protected. A psychometric evaluation of all the officers of the corps will also be carried out to establish those that are fit and proper to bear arms. It is the vision of the ministry to elevate the status of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to an elite paramilitary corps that Nigerians will be very proud of. They are equally fantastically kitted. That's their CG. I'm proud of what the corps is turning, the defense is turning into. But we must give kudos to the president. Without his humongous support, whatever we are reading to you and saying about our agencies and ourselves would have been impossible. The Civil Defense, Corrections, Immigration and Fire Board. This board is charged with the responsibility of the recruitment, promotion, and discipline of all officers of the paramilitary agencies with the Ministry of Interior. I didn't use under, with the Ministry of Interior. Our vision for the board includes the following: to have a technology-driven recruitment process that is seamless for applicants and designed to reduce recruitment error, manipulation, enhance performance of the paramilitary agencies. To have a promotion process that encourages continuous learning and personal development of officers through an e-learning portal, and ensure a transparent and effective promotion exercise that identifies and rewards the serving officers in the paramilitary agencies. To enhance discipline across the ranks in the paramilitary agencies and ensure that misconduct and operational practices are not tolerated. In pursuit of this vision, for the first time in the history of the ministry, we adopted a computer-based test for the recruitment of officers into the paramilitary agencies. It had never happened before, and it was vehemently resisted by vested interest. But we were able to get around it with the support of the president. Hitherto, recruitment was paper-based and often led to chaotic situation examination centers and even loss of life, and it's not transparent. The ministry entered into a partnership with JAM, the Joint Admission and Management Board, to conduct the computer-based test for the recent recruitment by the board using JAB accredited centers nationwide. So we use the JAM deployed to their centers. This eliminated the chaotic situations applicants go through to write application examination. It has also eliminated any form of corruption in the process and made it more transparent. This will be a standard practice going forward. Over 19,335 officers have been recruited in the period under review. This comprised of 2,200 for the Federal Fire Service, 7,045 for the Nigerian Correctional Service, 4,390 for Nigeria Immigration Service, and 5,000 for the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. The board is in discussion with stakeholders for the setting up of e-learning portal that will provide continuous and mandatory learning and personal development for officers of our agencies. In the quest to boost personnel morale and ensure higher productivity, the board has promoted 27,025 paramilitary personnel between 2019 to date, the highest number by any administration in the annals of our history. At the moment, the 2021 promotion exercise is ongoing for over 40,000 eligible officers, at the end of which at least 30,000 will be promoted based on available vacancies declared by the paramilitary agencies. In addition, it's also to be noted that we now engage private monitors to supervise the examinations across the zones to ensure the integrity of the process. In our effort to enhance morale and image of the paramilitary agencies, the board secretariat has been remodeled, and you must give kudos to the executive secretary of the board for being able to achieve this without any pressure or extra money from anywhere. A visit to the board secretariat will tell you that Nigerians can be innovative, creative, and ingenious Let them see it. The lady at the end of affairs in that board made that possible. Thank you. The board secretariat has been remodeled to reflect the new vision of a forward-looking, innovative, and responsive organization. The board has commenced the process of periodic performance appraisal of heads of the paramilitary agencies under the ministry with specific key performance indicators towards achieving the presidential mandate on provision of security for all. As chairman of the board, I have directed the board secretary to design a performance appraisal template along the KPIs that will ensure that we achieve the directive of Mr. President to ensure that we provide security for all citizens. This performance appraisal is to ensure that all the paramilitary agencies are focused on the delivery of the mandate of their respective agencies and eliminate any form of complacence. Leadership is responsibility, and as a ministry, we want to hold our heads of agencies accountable. Headquarters of the ministry, so that you don't say that, you talk of others. What about yourself? What are you doing? For the first time in the history of the ministry, we introduced quarterly performance review meetings for the ministry and its agencies. Quarterly. This is to regularly review and monitor performance and ensure that we remain focused on our key performance indicators from the 9 priority areas of this administration, as well as our other mandates. The goal is to promote service delivery to Nigerians. The meeting also helps to identify challenges and address them quickly. Similarly, we have introduced quarterly performance review meetings with all service providers engaged by the military and the agencies. It is designed to review the operation of the service providers to ensure that Nigeria and Nigerians continue to get value from their partnership and provide solutions to challenges that they may inquire in the course of rendering service under the contract. The objective is to track performance and ensure better service delivery to Nigerians and others benefiting from the services arising from the public-private partnership. The ministry has updated the expatriate quota handbook. This updated version is designed to strengthen the administration of expatriate quota permits in Nigeria and achieve its objective of industrializing Nigerians and creating jobs for its citizens. The updated version also took into consideration Executive Order 1 on the ease of doing business in Nigeria, while aligning the revised document with the country's current reality and best practices. Our objective is to use the updated guidelines on expatriate quota administration as a vehicle for industrialization and job creation for Nigerians through the enforcement of the conditions for approving the quota, and at the same time enhancing internal security by eliminating fraudulent applications and identifying illegal expatriates who are undocumented and who may pose a danger to the peace and stability of Nigeria. Between 2019 and 2021, October, over 87,000 expatriate quota positions were granted. 951 business permits were granted, and 598 licenses were issued to public places of worship for the conduct of statutory marriages. We recently inaugurated the Ministerial Task Force on Monitoring of Expatriate Quotas. The primary objective is to audit, monitor, and enforce the conditions for the approval of expatriate quota and foreign business permits. Nigerians may wish to note that one of the conditions for the approval of expatriate quota permit is that every expatriate position, the company must employ, for every expatriate position, the beneficial company must employ 2 Nigerians to understudy the expatriate for eventual takeover. Thus, from 2019 to date, 153,120 direct jobs have been created through the understudy program. Clap for us now. You deserve applause. It is also a condition that the Nigerian understudy must be exposed to local and foreign training in line with the profile of the job. It is expected that this monitoring and audit process will open up job opportunities for Nigerians. The task force has since commenced work. The ministry is resolved to enforce the conditions under which the expatriate quota approvals were given. It is also worthy of mention that the ministry has established a new monitoring division to inspect organizations proud to the grant of expatriate quotas and public place of worship proud to issuance of license to conduct statutory marriage. The division also investigates petitions against expatriate quota malpractices and enforce provision of the various acts and guidelines for expatriate quota, citizenship, statutory marriages, and licenses to conduct such marriages. We have commenced the process of expansion of statutory marriage registries across the country. In the period under review, 5 new marriage registries have been established in Benin, Kano, Jos, Owerri, and Port Harcourt. We are in the process of establishing at least 20 more. So we want to encourage Nigerians to marry at the cost of attacks on the custodial facilities. Is it the management of a weakness within the system, either on physical security or internal sabotage? My answer is so simple. The security situation of every space, community, society, and nation reflects on all aspects of that society, community, and nation. So, whatever we are witnessing in the custodial facility is a fallout of the challenges we are having nationally. Please take that. Now, as to the specific causes, what I will say is this. It's not specific. It's a little bit varied and diverse. Yes, attacks could be for the release of specific persons in the centers, or simply to embarrass the government. But whatever is the cause, our duty is to make the custodial facilities impregnable, so as to enforce the will of the state on those who are legally to be kept there. That's our own responsibility. And we are committed to ensuring that it's not just only to enforce the will of the state by making sure that nobody that is legally put in custody is let out. Is to prevent the dangers of society will be exposed to should they be out before their time. That being established, there are things I must not even say because of the confidentiality and security implication of such things. What is clear is this. The state, as a state, and I don't know if I have to define what a state is, will never allow anybody to trample on its authority as an enforcing medium. So whoever attacks our facility has already violated a sacred rule of the state. And wherever he runs to in the world, we're after such a person, and we'll get him. Go and look at how long it took Escobar to escape justice. But he was invariably brought to justice. So, all the criminals that feel they can at will test our will as a government will ultimately face their comeuppance, and justice will catch up with them. Take that as an assurance for me. Dr. Leon of the Nigerian Tribune. He is on the run I'll give you. No, I have it here. Don't worry yourself. I have it here. Summary of attacks from 2020 to date. We have total escaped inmates 4,860. Recaptured 954. Still at large 3,106. Dr. Leon, that's the fact. Breakdown is here, but that's just the summary. I didn't have the name of the man who required for the role the FFS played at Ikoyi.
The same man.
The same man, Dr. Leon. Dr. Leon. At Ikoyi, the Federal Fire Service responded promptly with all the other emergency responders. And our Deputy Controller General Operation was there throughout. And that's the highest level of deployment. So be rest assured that we do not in any way shirk our responsibility. As we are smart in outlook, we are smart in operation. AFP, I couldn't get your name, but I know you represent AFP. Boko Haram in Lagos, to confirm, I have no such, and let me first of all tell you why you must take my word for it. I received intelligence report on security every day. This most people don't know. The only person that gets more intelligence than my office is the president. From all agencies, I get reports on a daily basis. I have no such record that Boko Haram cell is in Lagos. So if there is no cell in Lagos, there is no returning to report to you about. John Bosco. I like your name. I just like your name. No, the name is militant. We are on the attackers. A couple of them were arrested in Imo, but I will tell you we're on them. And they know we're on them. They can run. They can never hide. Do I abuse my office? The answer is capital no. It's a pity that such a report will come from a human rights organization. That is what we call high wire hagiography. Hagiography. You know the meaning of hagiography. So it's paid for. It's an actual job paid for to discredit me. I was a governor in that state for 8 years. What else do I need from the state than to be a father of all? I've told Nigerians that I will never ever run for senatorial ticket. So if I want for senatorial ticket, what do I need to do in the place? Please dismiss it from your mind as a figment of imagination of whoever put that together. I do not abuse, I didn't abuse my office as a governor. I did abuse my office as a minister, as a commissioner for works and infrastructure in Lagos. What do I now need to abuse my office? What for? When I have enough things on my hand to grapple with. Please, take it out of your mind. It does not exist. It only exists in the fertile imagination of the agrographer who put that together. I thank you. Oh, there's a question I've not answered. Corruption in NIS. I want to believe I dwelt on this extensively in my speech. But probably to re-emphasize it, we are working hard at it and we are sure we will get rid of it. I thank you.
Another set of questions?
It's okay.
Last set of questions now.
That is global from 2020 to date.
Recordings and waiting trials, and in previous.
I'm more than disturbed. That answers that. I'm more than disturbed. I'm worried. But as to how do what's our response? First of all, let's define rules. Government departments, ministries and agencies have defined responsibility. But government as a whole is joint. Government is not separated, but government in its delivery of services allocate roles to ministries, departments, and agencies. The correctional service role is purely to hold in custody errant members of the public, either as suspects or as convicts. I'm worried that a single person that should be in our care is freed forcibly. So it's painful and worrisome. As to why do we have a huge proportion of awaiting trial? That's the question for all of us. Because 99% of the awaiting trial inmates in our custodial facility are state offenders. 99%. I'll have said 100%, but 99% of the awaiting trial inmates are what? State offenders. But because of our laws in Nigeria, the subnationals, the states and local governments do not have separate custodial facility. That is why they are where they are. As to reducing their number and the congestion, consequently, the custodial facility, the state jurisdictions, the state authorities, with their judiciary, who have to work together with us, as we initiated in 2020. And we have set the parameters for releasing them. So your question properly should be channeled at that level for any effect. But as to us, there is nothing we have left undone. That's why there is a federal body that is committed to the congestion of the facilities, but that body can only work within its own rule. It cannot compel subnationals to release. I hope I'm understood in that regard. Yeah, it's hampering our operation and it's putting pressure on us financially because we have to feed them. Besides even the question of making the cost, the custodial facilities impregnable, we have to feed them. It's expensive feeding them. It's expensive sustaining their health. It's expensive, protecting the facility. Very, very expensive. But of course, as a nation, that's our primary responsibility, and we are committed to doing it. The lady said, why are we having difficulty with BVN? Yes. There are over 200 million, my sister, there are over 200 million Nigerians. Criminals who want to evade the law will not come where the profile we have obtained can be checked. But how long can they run away from the law? That's the question. And that is the strength of the state. The state is a patient board. You can run, but you can never hide. I've given you the case of Escobar. Escobar ran, but Escobar was ultimately apprehended. So the state is patient. What is best is for you not to break the law. All those who have offended our laws in whatever form must realize that the state has one thing now on them. We have their biometrics. Whenever and wherever they appear to transact any legitimate business, their cover will be blown. Their identity will expose them. That should be your joy. That there cannot be anonymity again in crime commission or in criminality. Is that clear? Rail track protection. We will continue to do what we can. And let me tell you something that I want to take home. Yes, we admit that we are not really up to the antics of the criminals. They are today a step ahead of us. But as we are learning about their desperation to create problems for Nigerians, we are equally evolving capacity to outdo them. And we shall outrun them, we shall outdo them, we shall make it possible for them to terrorize Nigerians. Well, I'm human. As a state, what I have to say, what I've told you, they will never continue to outdo us. We shall soon outpace them, outrun them, outdo them, and prevent them from acting. That you take away. Whether we believe it or not, it's a question of your faith in us as an administration. I have faith in our capacity to outrun them, to outdo them, to neutralize them. I have no doubt in my mind. But I must admit that for the crimes that are committed so far, yes, there is space ahead. But they will not have that advantage for long. Tell no lies, claim no easy victory. That's my dictum. Viewers television, banditry and porous border. What? Oh, well, I must tell you this because it's quite interesting. I didn't talk about it we are evolving a strategy that will man every ward. Before we even emplace the satellite surveillance system, which we call e-border system, which will come very soon, we're almost concluding the deal with Huawei. We are reinvigorating the Nigeria Immigration Service to have operatives at each level of Nigeria community, such that strange faces can easily be identified, profiled, and indicated. So, and that will share to a large extent the effect of the porous border. And let me explain to you why the border is porous. Because we always tend to overlook some basic facts that are there for us to see. The boundary lines of African states are imaginary and artificial. Where you have communities of similar ethnic nationality, sub-ethnic nationalities, and people divided by an imaginary line, what do you expect? How do you prevent a Yoruba man in Nigeria, situated along the borderline between Benin Republic, from dealing with his own kith and kin on the other side, because one portion is called Nigeria, another portion is called Benin Republic. So in his head, he does not see that line. So what we are doing is to develop capacity to engage the communities and make them have commitment with their fatherland. And that takes a lot of effort. Nigeria Boundary Commission is involved, we are involved. It's gamut of things that we have to do. But we are not, because of this, saying that we do not have responsibility to Nigerians. We have responsibility to Nigeria. And we are doing our best to ensure that, regardless of the factors, our borders are protected. I told you that we have 4 operating bases where we are constantly patrolling to ensure that our borders are not violated. And there is an aspect that most of us don't even think about. It's called transhumance. Transhumance is the protocol governing movement of animals. We don't even, and it's an ECOWAS protocol. So we are putting everything in place. We're encouraging Nigerians to support our effort. But what is important is this: the commitment and dedication of our administration to limit whatever challenge that we have there and increase our confidence in protecting our borders, our community, and our people. And one principal one is what I just told you now. We are repositioning NIS, Nigerian Immigration Service, to be able to identify dangerous individuals who come from across the border to create problems for us. And we are going to get there. I think that's the end of it. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Was there a question on climate change?
On private?
Wasn't there a question on climate change?
Take it away. It's not mine. Take it away. Okay.
Let me go and use myself. You want to do something?
This way.
Once he comes back, exactly. So after this one, then your team can now join the join.
Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.